Welcome to the Diamond Hands podcast, where medicine meets momentum and branding becomes a leadership system. I'm Leslie Tracy Craditchville, co-founder of Diamond Hands Media. I build aesthetic brands that lead, with a background in employee benefits and business finance, so brand becomes authority and asset value. This is mindset, money, and marketing for founders building brands that run without them. Because brand isn't a logo, it's how you lead.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Diamond Hands podcast. Today we have such a treat for you. We have Chris Chomenko, who is the Chief Evangelist at RepeatMD and also the co-founder. We are so excited to have you today because everyone wants to increase their income in their practice. And what better way to do it than to treat your beauty service like a SaaS? RepeatMD.
Absolutely, couldn't agree more. You say it better than I could ever say it. That's for sure. But yeah, that's the goal, right? Increase your business and create repeatable revenue for your business. And if you can do that, then you're going to have a better quality of life as a business owner, for sure.
Exactly. And better quality of life is the reason that we all do this. Why we grind, why we do all the things is because we want to have a better quality of life. So that's what we're here for.
Yeah.
But I know that you're the chief brand evangelist at RepeatMD. But before we get into that, I just want to kind of get a little bit into your story and how you even came to start RepeatMD with your co-founder with Phil. How did you guys even begin to think of this idea?
Yeah, so great question. And I won't bore the audience with all the details, but the truth is we didn't actually start with aesthetics in mind. Phil, the founder, he was building a technology. He's a restaurateur background. He had a lot of successful brands in the restaurant space. And he was actually building a rewards and retention software for restaurants because he recognized his own need back then, which is, geez, like he had a German restaurant, right? So when you think of German restaurants, like how many times a year are you going to a German restaurant?
No.
It's not like, right? It's not like a Mexican. Like, well, I'm from Houston, Texas, so Mexican food is like, people go to Mexican restaurants like a few times a month, right? It's almost like oh, let's just go to Gringos, right? It's like all the time. But German food, not so much. So he had the same kind of question that a lot of aesthetics founders had. He didn't know this at the time, right? But it's like, how do I get people to come back more often? If you have an aesthetics practice, seeing people 2 or 3 times a year for Botox probably isn't enough to really build the business and lifestyle you want. So he approached it from the consumer element, like, hey, how can I create more value, a better experience, a more like sense of community for my people and get them to come back in. And that took him down the road of creating a rewards-based technology. So flash forward, COVID came, and with COVID, basically the whole restaurant industry was turned upside down. And we were a young startup, and we said, well, look, this is a great product, a great tool. Let's see if anybody else out there could benefit from this. And lo and behold, we had some conversations with some really great people. Like Mary Beth Hagan is one of the people that, and very foundational to our success, Brandon James Thompson. And they basically said, this product is perfect for the aesthetic space because this is our same exact need. So we started having conversations with aesthetics practice owners and recognized really early on, like, wait a second, like because of COVID, like this thing that, looked like a total calamity on the surface was actually the best thing ever happened to us because we found who our real tribe was. We found a population of people that we could serve at the highest level that really were looking for a solution to say, hey, how do I treat my patients to that like elevated level of care? How do I get people to come back in? How do I introduce them to all my treatments that aren't just Botox and show them all the other things I can do? And we have basically been working like maniacs since 2020 to build a better and better iterative product for all the aesthetic practices, derm practices, chiropractors, dentists, anybody that has a lot of cash-based services that they want to expand, offer, and build on. RepeatMD is really, in my biased opinion, done a great job of filling in a lot of those gaps. So that's how we came to be where we are.
That is so awesome. I really just love how you guys were able to take something that other people, a lot of places shuttered during that time and everything. And you guys were like, okay, I gotta do something. And
we were about to shutter too. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like we were like, it's like, but that's like that's the whole resilience. Like that's the founder resilience. We said, look, it's too good of a tool. There's too many like SMB, small and mid-sized businesses that could benefit from this. So we were just like really, really fortunate that we were, guided at the right time and we were in the right position to like come in and like offer this for like the only industry that was open at the time. You got to remember, like with COVID, the reason why aesthetics worked is because really a lot of these practices were the only people who were able to keep their doors open, right? So nobody else had customers coming in. So it was a really lucky circumstance.
It is, and then I think every practice owner who's been around pre-COVID can actually relate to you guys in terms of that resiliency, right? And I
For
think
sure.
that story, because sometimes people just see Repeat MD and we see you at the conferences, the AMP spas, you're rapping away at Louis Vuitton, like all these things. And everyone sees the glitz and the glam and all these things, but they don't always see the resiliency. And I think that's one of the most relatable things that you guys have, that you're like, you were in the trenches just like everybody else trying to survive. And you're like, let's pivot, mastering the pivot, right?
Yeah, for sure. And also keep in mind that RepeatMD was built for small, mid-sized business owners by a team that was small, mid-sized business owners. So, like Phil and I aren't like Silicon Valley, Stanford graduates that just came out with the silver spoon and, 10 million and $10 million check from VCs.
Yeah.
Like we actually built the product like from the consumer experience up, not just here's a bunch of money and figure out something to sell. So I think that's also a real testament to like what you see today and how the products evolve, always with the mindset of like, how can we want to never lose a client again because our clients just say, this is just so much value for the money. Like we'll never leave. Like this is a product that gets me, gets my clients. And, we want people to stick around forever. And if we lose a client, it's like, it keeps us up at night because we're like, that's like somebody that we could have created value for that somehow we missed. And we obsess over that. Right.
Yeah, no, I understand that. And so, like, when your team is going into a practice and the practice is like, oh my goodness, retention for our patients, and they're always, because, many practices, they're always trying to find that new patient, right? And they're not
Right.
maximizing the dollars of the patients that are inside their doors, right? So,
Yeah.
how do you explain Repeat MD's model to a practice owner who's been in business 5, 6 years? They're doing 7, 8, 9, 10 million. Maybe they're doing 2 million, whatever it is, but
Sure.
they're just like, oh, like, how do I get this going in consistent revenue so I'm not up, down, at the same time?
Yeah. That's a great question, right? And so what we're talking about is how do we create the flywheel of success where it just gets better and faster and I have to work less. So it's a couple things, right? You mentioned one is the business it's been in, whether it's 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, and whether it's 2 million or $15 million in revenue. The first question I ask a business owner, and when they say I need like, hey, what's the one thing you could do? One of the questions I like to ask clients is if I had a magic lamp and I could grant you one more wish, my magic genie, and they could fix anything about your business, like what would it be? And what we hear 9 times out of 10 is more new patients, more new clients, right?
Yeah.
And my follow-up question is always, well, look, you've been in business for 10 years. Where's all the clients you've built over the last 10 years, right? If you have those people who are still coming back, then the calendar would be bursting at the seams. So it makes them reframe and think, oh, that's a great point. Why am I here 10, 15 years later and I still need new clients? And so once I get people open to the idea, like, hey, maybe if we focus more time, effort, and energy on retention, we won't need as many new clients. Then we can start having that honest conversation about, okay, let's start from keeping what we have because it's way more cost effective to keep the patients you have than to go out and get the new patients. And one of the reasons why I think people don't focus on that is because we get it's it's like a recognition type bias, right? I see the same patients over and over, so in my mind, my retention is perfect. But what you don't see, all the people that you don't see, so its retention is never really as good as you think it is, right? Because most folks say, "Well, I see all my regulars." Okay, what about all the people that you don't see that could have been regulars? And so now we're having a conversation. Say, okay, there is this opportunity for retention. Now, how do we maximize it? And how do we really create stickiness? And our theory has been twofold, right? It's not us reinventing the wheel. We look at companies like Starbucks, right? I like there's a reason why Starbucks is everywhere and you can't name a single other like Starbucks competitor, right? There's like people say Dunkin' Donuts, but really that's a donut store. But there's no like other Starbuckses, and there's a reason because Starbucks has done a fantastic job of like capturing their audience with Starbucks rewards. In fact, 52% of all Starbucks transactions now, like a brick and mortar coffee store, happen through the app, and it's not an accident. It was intentional. And the app creates this like massive retention where a person in the app spends about 4 times more than a person not in the app.
Yeah.
And so rewards, like point one, like give me a reward and I'm less likely to shop around. I'm more likely to come in, spend, and use my rewards. And then the second avenue is memberships, right? Make me part of the party, give me those benefits and give me a reason to come back in and spend more often, right? So if I have a membership and I get 20% off of lasers once or twice a year, well, let's say I'm just a regular Botox guy, but now I get this 20% off of a laser treatment. Well, guess what? Now you can convert me into BBL, Moxie, and on down the list goes. And you can have those conversations built around me trying to maximize the value of my membership. And now guess what happens? Because you have rewards and a membership system in place, now retention is taking care of itself, and you're having that consistent monthly income that the memberships provide. And to your point, you don't have to start over at zero every month, which, as you know, somebody has been a business owner and been in sales, like that's the worst. Like the worst thing in the world is a record month. You know why? Because now you got to start over zero the next month. They're like, shit, how am I going to hit that record again? It's like, you know, like every month is like this new uphill battle. I'm a nerd, so it reminds me of like the Greek, the tragic Greek story of Sisyphus, who has to push the boulder up the hill every morning. All right. So we don't want our owners to push the boulder up the hill every day. We want them to get to the top of the hill and maybe go take a vacation and see their kids.
Exactly. And I love that. I love to call RepeatMD when I talk to people about it. I call it BAS, beauty as a service, because it's literally what it is, right?
Yeah,
And so,
great.
so you've touched upon kind of goes into what I was thinking about next as you're speaking, that psychology of patient stickiness, right? That psychology of patient stickiness. So, you know, and my question to you though, because people fail with these memberships too. However,
Sure.
there's a reason, and it's not you guys, because there's a lot of different
Yeah.
things. So why do you think some people fail when they implement the membership programs? Because I'm sure we're gonna be listening. People who are listening are like, "Oh, I tried your PMD and
Yeah.
it didn't work." What is the key to having a successful, and why do some people fail to implement?
Yeah, and look, to anybody listening who's tried RepeatMD and says it didn't work, like come talk to us again and see if we can figure it out, right? Because RepeatMD it is not the end all be all. It's a tool to get to the goal, right? It's just like a vehicle, but behind every Formula One car is a great driver.
Yeah.
And what we want to do is give you a car like designed that you can win the race. But if you're blindfolded with your hands tied behind your back, you're never going to leave the starting line. So, that's the first thing, right? We take our ownership where it's due.
Mhm.
But my question is, okay, if RepeatMD didn't work and your memberships didn't work, I would say, like, if you did memberships without RepeatMD, is that going to make it easier? Is that going to make it work? No, probably not, right? So there are some commonalities, and these are the type of things we look for and try to understand, like, why do we have some clients, like real talk, doing hundreds of thousands of dollars a month in memberships, and we have some clients, to your point, that call and say, look, I tried this, it doesn't work. I've only got 9 members. It sucks. I want out. And if they're not going to go do memberships on their own, they're just saying memberships are, I couldn't do it with RepeatMD, I'm done. But you should. I promise you, like that's not the right approach. So the biggest difference that I found, like just to answer the question, is probably two or three things. Number one is, does it become foundational? Is it part of your team's DNA? Are you now a membership first practice? If you're not committed to memberships and you're just kind of throwing them out there, like it's not going to move the needle, right? Because you're not going to really explain it. You're not going to push it. The team's not going to push the memberships. And the biggest reason why teams don't push the memberships, in my experience, is one, the team members feel like it's actually going to take money out of their pocket. Well, if they get the membership pricing, they pay less, and I'm going to make less money. So they're not going to talk about it. They're not going to push it. You got to break that down. You got to dispel that completely, because you have to really you have to say, listen, people are going to get discounts, but they're going to spend more money. If you had 10 patients coming in spending $3,000, right, and 6 holes in your schedule, that's option one, right? So you got your $30,000 in revenue with 6 blank spots, or you can have all 16 spots filled with $2,500. Well, the 2,500 times 16 is more, right? Now you're talking about $43,000 revenue. You actually make more money. So I always encourage our business owners to get the team involved, like doing I don't know, membership spiff contest. Like whoever sells the most memberships gets a small spiff, or give them a piece of the first month membership when they sign people up. There's different ways to get the team engaged and involved. And if you do that, if you just win at the team level and get everybody talking about memberships and excited about memberships, like 9 times out of 10, your memberships are probably going to be okay.
Yeah.
And then the second phase is you got to make sure your memberships make sense. if the membership costs more money to me than it does just to buy the stuff retail, well, shit, like I'm just like, it's not going to work. Like, I know nobody goes to Barnes and Nobles anymore, right? Maybe they do for like a coffee. I love Barnes and Nobles, right? If you're a millennial or older listening to this, like Blockbuster, Barnes and Nobles, we salute you. But so anybody who's ever been to Barnes and Nobles knows that like you go up there with your stack of books that you're hopefully going to read, right? That you might not, feel good buying at least. And they're going to say, hey, look, for $20, you can save $50 on your books today. Like, okay, so if I sign up for the Barnes and Nobles card, I get the card, plus I'm actually spend less today. And you're like, yeah, okay, sign me up. It makes perfect sense. And it doesn't matter if you use your membership again or not, like, but they're selling memberships because it makes so much sense on the surface that I'm gonna sign up. And now Barnes and Nobles has like that new stream of revenue. They don't count on me coming in for a book every single month. So the second factor, I'd say the second biggest piece aside from like team alignment and becoming a membership first practice is, of course, making your memberships make sense. And one thing that RepeatMD we do really well, I think, is we do monthly master classes with people that are really successful. And these are like business owners in all stages, multi-location, single office. They say, hey, look, I got one office, one chair, and I'm doing $20,000 a month in memberships, pays my rent, all my bills and overhead. Here's what my memberships look like, and here's how I talk about it. So like literally, here's exactly what I'm doing. Go home and do it, and you should have the same results. There's no reason why you shouldn't, right? It's the same. They're using the exact same technology. They have the same services, the same products, roughly the same pricing. So, you do those two things, like you should win, whether you have RepeatMD or not. To be honest with you, RepeatMD just makes it easier because we keep it all like nice and neat and organized, and like in an easy place for your patients to access, organize, and order. What's nice with RepeatMD is they can look at a package and they can see the instant savings, like restoration hardware model, like the membership pricing. So it just makes the whole process a hell of a lot easier to manage and to control. But if you do those first two things, regardless of RepeatMD or not, you should have a successful membership practice.
Yeah. And I think what you said was the main thing. So, for any of you listening out there who have not seen success with RepeatMD's program or any membership in general, it's the mindset. And I think we forget this all the time. Like you said, F1 driver, you need to have F1 car, you need a good driver in that car. You have to have a membership first mindset because it's so true. Wherever you focus your energy, that's what's going to bring things back to you, whether it's good or it's bad. And so that's definitely true. So, with that too, I want to ask, so for coming from the patient perspective, how do you encourage practice leaders to actually talk about this program so it excites patients instead of just sounding like a coupon, you know?
Yeah, no, so I love that question. So the memberships is going to give practice owners and your team a secret weapon where you're never going to have to discount again. And I know the practice owners love this because they're going to tell a patient that this package is $3,000-$4,000 at times. The patient's going to say, hey, can you do it for $2,500, $2,700, the place down the street, right? And it's this disc, and the discounts kill the margin.
Yeah.
So the way you can, I call it weaponizing memberships to never discount again, is really simple. Now you can get people excited and say, hey, listen, this full face treatment we're going to offer you is $3,500, right? And XY comes with all these different things, right? It's going to make you look great. Like everybody's bought in on the outcome. Like we don't have to sell the outcome, right? We want this. It's just a matter like, can I sneak it through my budget where my husband doesn't see it, or can I, get the right price where like money I saved up? Like these are real things, right? Don't kill me for this, ladies, but like it's true, okay? I deal with it at home. Only I'm the one like trying to sneak things in the budget myself because I know about the aesthetics.
Me and my husband will try to sneak things in the budget.
Yeah. And if you're both sneaking, it's not sneaking. It's just like, you got to just kind of factor it in, to be honest with you. It's like just part of your overhead. But here's what you do, right? You say, listen, $3,500, but I got great news. With our platinum membership, this whole package is only $2,800. It's only $2,700. And the membership is $200. So you sign up for our platinum membership. I'm going to say you $700 and get you started in this whole thing. Oh, and by the way, you can, finance it over, 4 to 6 interest-free payments by buying it all through the app. I'm going to send you the package to your phone right now. You can sign up for the membership, check out, and finance it. Boom. And you're going to pay $300 out of pocket a day. I have the platinum membership, which is going to save me $700 plus give me all these extra discounts. So now you've got me super excited because you've done like what's like one of the best sales maneuvers of all time, which is good news, bad news. Hey, like the bad news is this thing's $3,500. I know it's a lot of money. The good news is I can actually do this all for you today at $2,700. because of my memberships. And so they win because they get the price they want. You win because you get the package sold and you get the monthly recurring revenue of the membership. And you know they're going to come back in and spend more money even once they're done with this thing. Because typically what happens, you do $3,500 and facial work on somebody, you're probably not going to see them for a long time because they're trying to recover financially for the next thing.
Yeah.
But if you let them do financing plus the membership plus additional perks, everybody's happy. Client's super stoked. You're stoked. We're all winning across the board. So like that's, to me, like the number one way that you can really get the client excited about it and create a lot of value for them. And as a practice owner, you're going to be able to give them the discounts without having to actually discount, right? You give and take, right? Save some money, but I get you as a long-term member. We're all super happy.
Yeah. And I think that also empowers employees too, which is important because, it's never a good thing when you have a practice manager or an owner that's a bottleneck and everyone's calling them and saying, oh, hey, can I discount this? Oh, hey, can I discount that? So it becomes this like all apart, thing. And it's like, no, we have this one program of yes, they can get a discount. You never have to say no again. Yes.
You're right. Yeah.
$200 a month for it or whatever it is.
Yeah, and it's like, and the great point is like, hey, you're gonna save the money today, but look at all these extra things you get. You get one free like hydrofacial a month. You get like discount on your Botox. Like this thing is a just slam dunk value. And so now the patient like is guaranteed to come back in more often for these other things. Like, and every time they come in for a hydrofacial, it's just another chance to talk about like the other things we can do, right? So it's yeah, it's such a winner, and I promise you, the practices that are super successful use their memberships exactly like that. Like it is to give better prices and better value. And like if I'm a patient, why am I ever going to leave?
Exactly, and and so with that, so how do you guys help to like elevate internal culture so that team members are ambassadors of this new program and the membership model? Like what type of like let's just give us like a synopsis from day 0 to 90. What is the game plan that a practice has to go through to say, all right, we got this new thing, let's go, so it doesn't just fall into another thing they've tried?
Yeah. So look, like your questions are just so fantastic, right? I feel like you've been like sitting around like our all hands meetings, having these conversations with us. So the biggest, like, when I look at RepeatMD and I see the and like this is my own personal opinion. Like everybody has their own theory, but my theory is the reason why people struggle with RepeatMD long term is internal turnover, right? Our champion that we initially got stoked for, that was disseminating this across the team, is no longer there in 6 months. I've called into practices. I'll tell you, here's a true to life, like real world story. I'll omit the names, but for people's privacy here. But we every quarter we do a contest, okay, at RepeatMD. The practice that sells the most memberships or the most like overall in-app sales, whoever does the most sales, they win a trip for like 6 of their team members, like Cancun, Jamaica, somewhere cool every quarter. Well, this past quarter, we called the team and said, hey, congratulations, you guys won. Congrats. Y'all are going to, what was it? Port-au-Prince somewhere, or maybe not. I'm making that up. Like somewhere in the Caribbean. You're going there and it's going to be sunny and great.
Port-au-Prince?
All right. I don't know. I'm just like, that's maybe I got it wrong. It's somewhere good. Okay. So anyway, you're going there. Maybe that's what it was. I got those. They said we don't want to go, so they ignored us. But here's what happened. They did not know what RepeatMD was, and these were the winners. The staff said, what's RepeatMD? We know we have it. We don't really know anything else about it. And they sold more than anybody else using the app. And we said, holy smokes, their team or their office manager, patient coordinator, like moved somewhere else. No one didn't really leave the keys. And now this whole team has this tool that's literally the number one driving force of revenue. And they don't know what it is or how to use it or what's going on. That's a real problem, right?
Wow.
So what's the key for us is always staying on top of who the champion is in the office. So if if you have RepeatMD as an owner and you're transitioning team members, like let us know. Like we reach out to you to say, like check in every so often, like, hey, is this person still on the team? We haven't seen a check-in in a while, because we know if you lose that person that like kind of knows where the keys are, then it's just going to sit there and no one's going to really know what's going on. So it's really important for us, to stay on top of it. But as far as like the day one playbook, for the first person, our onboarding and client success team do an amazing job, right, of bringing you in and understanding what's most important to you. Like, hey, what rewards, what's going to move the needle for your patient, right? Especially with like your sign up reward. A sign up reward doesn't just have to be free money. It can be like an introductory product, right? If you want to do like more IV injections, we'll give a free B12 shot or something that like introduces them into your injectable solutions. So we create this custom curated kind of like rewards and retention strategy for you. We get all the team members on a call. We train them on how to use it, like get the app on their phone so they can, send custom packages, show them how all the cool functions and features work. And then we call that graduation. Once they're graduated, we're going to kind of have a little scoreboard dashboard set up for each person. And if they're not hitting kind of like growth markers, like, I've got a 11-month at home. So we're making sure he's like, clapping on time. He's, saying daddy on time, right? Hitting his markers. Same thing with us. Like if you're not hitting your growth markers, we know that there's a challenge. We got to step in and we got to understand like, hey, a lot of times it's like I said, the manager signed up and then a month later they were gone. Okay, we got to start back over from scratch and we got to get the team trained back up. Or you know what, they got busy, 1,000 things came across the finish line and just is one of those things that they were going to buy. You know how sometimes you buy something, you feel good that you bought it, and you put it on the shelf and you never actually use it. Like we're all guilty of that. We got to make sure it's back at the forefront because rewards and retention and like the type of tool RepeatMD is, a lot of time for a lot of people, it's not like going to change your business overnight, like running putting a billboard outside where you're going to get calls like tomorrow. A lot of times it takes a little, like planting a field. Like you got to plant it, you got to water it, and then in 6 months it's going to blossom, but you got to stick with it a little bit. So we try to stay on top of it after the graduation. And if somebody's having a challenge for whatever reason, we want to go in there, find out what's going on, automate as much as possible. RepeatMD is not one of those tools that's meant to be like super heavy handed where you got to spend hours on it every day. But a team member that looks at it like once a week for at least an hour is really all you need to make sure it's going well. And then finally, we want to make sure that the team is talking about it, because if you can have the best technology and tool and reward system on the planet, but if no one at the front desk is saying, hey, have you joined our rewards program, if you joined our rewards, if you joined our memberships, then it's just not going to work. So you got to have we got to make sure that we got the team aligned and we focus on all those things, especially early and often, but then again later to make sure that we still got the right people on the bus that are driving the program for the business.
Yeah, that makes sense. And there's so many things I want to ask you, but I know we're getting down. So there's just two more big things I want to ask you about. One of them obviously has to do with the future of aesthetic med tech, which I think is really important. However, before we get into that, there are so many different membership models, right? And it's just like people like, oh my God, they're wondering, okay, which type of membership model should I? So if you could even just get into the architecture of the different types of membership models, which one works, and if you can get as deep in it, like which one works for which practice best, or is there a formula for that? But what type of membership models are there, and how does a practice owner make sure they're not messing their financials up because they just did it wrong? So two things, membership model and how to make sure they're pricing it right.
Yeah, so this is a great question. I'll try to get as detailed as possible, but the truth is, if anybody wants more information, they can email me, chris@repeatmd.com, or reach out to us, through RepeatMD, and we love to talk about this stuff and give them access to our membership master classes that Phil's done in the past, and really go deep on this. Like those webinar, the webinar access is like that's the best. But there's really, I'd say, 3 primary membership styles. Okay. You've got your tiered membership style, which everybody's familiar with, which is your bronze, silver, gold, platinum, however you want to position it. And it's, your $99, $199, $399 a month. Little pro tip on that. You probably want to stack it so that your highest tier membership is your number one seller. Most people actually try to aim towards the middle. That's old SaaS mythology. Make this one too expensive, but this one too cheap, and one in the middle is just right. No, you really want to anchor all your value to the platinum, because the people that sign up for the platinum are typically the ones that stick around the longest because they're all in on the value. The question, and we'll follow up on this, is how to make sure you're not selling something that's actually a loser, costing you money every month. But so that's style number one. And the way it works is you get at gold, you get 5% off all your purchases. At platinum, you get 10%. At diamond, you get 20%. And then you have 3 or 4 things they can choose from every month for free. They can come in as part of it. They get one of XYZ, and then they get some extra additional perks. Pretty simple to set up. If you've been anywhere, you've seen this style. The second type is the what do you call the wallet style, right? So it's just me paying, 99 bucks a month, 200 bucks a month, 300 bucks a month that goes into my account, right? Like feeding my Starbucks rewards card. And then I can draw on that for future purchases. And I get some type of perk by, being signed up to the wallet style approach to a membership. So that's very simple. I just pay my 200 bucks a month or my $300 a month. It gets stashed in my account. Then I can use it on any kind of treatment or package I want. This one's really popular, like I said, for the people trying to sneak, big purchases under the radar. It's like my little, personal savings account. And because I'm using the savings account, I get some extra, benefit discount. So there's some additional perk. The reason why I do it instead of just keeping it in my own checking account. And then the third, which is also really popular, and I love this one to create this one I use to build my bigger membership. So you can kind of stack this one. It's I call this the Amazon Prime membership. This is my low introductory, $19 a month membership that I'm just going to sell a billion of to everybody that has obvious value. For 20 bucks a month, I get discounts on my Botox units. I get discount on my purchases. This is like that Barnes and Noble style where it's just such a no-brainer. It's going to save me money in a day. I just have it, and I'm paying my 20 bucks a month. And I don't ever think about it. Well, this is a great way to get everybody in your practice. 1,000 signups. It doesn't cost you any money, but it creates massive loyalty, creates more visits, more frequent visits, and it introduces them to the bigger packages. And then you can also, from those people that typically do the Amazon Prime style, what they will do is use what I call the fourth type of membership, which is a treatment specific type of membership, which might be a body contouring program membership or just a skin wellness or rejuvenation, something that should focus on a certain specific area, maybe acne, maybe weight loss, right, is a great example. I would use that Amazon Prime style to introduce them. Now, as far as how do I create my membership, make sure it doesn't bankrupt me? Well, the first thing you need to do is know your own numbers, right? So you got to know your margin. So if your Botox is, my cost on Botox is X, well, don't create your membership for X minus $1 where I'm losing money on every time somebody's doing this, right? So make sure that even at the discounted, membership rate, that you're still profitable, but know that the whole goal of this is to get the extra little incremental money, but to, get the bigger packages. Same thing with a gold membership. If you're going to be giving away a free, great example is just a hydrofacial every month. Well, your cost on hydrofacial, and just work in your costs and the cost of your team's time, true cost on that thing, and know that you're going to get upside value on something that you probably a great one is a device that you don't get a ton of usage at, but you'd like to get more usage. Include that in your membership so people actually start using these things, and then they can say, oh, well, I get a free one. Maybe I get one free one a year with my membership. But I like this. Let me go buy the package of 4 or 5. Like an Mcella is a great example. This is really cool. Let me go buy a pack of 4 for $1,500 with my membership. So knowing your own numbers is key. Well, one of the things when we help you set up your memberships, we try to look at that so you don't bankrupt yourself with memberships, because believe me, that does happen. Some people have sold themselves into bankruptcy. Not not through our own fault. It happens all the time in the world of business. So yeah.
That's intense. Yeah. And I think those are really great things. So, those resources, guys, make sure you're taking advantage of it so you can find out more and ask questions and know your numbers. I think that's the biggest thing. Know your numbers, know your numbers, know your numbers. And then, the last thing I want to ask you, because you guys are a tech company or have you didn't start that way, but you are now and you're going even deeper. So I know, AI is such a big thing in the space and everything like that. And it's med tech is such a huge thing for you guys. So going forward into the future, what do you see is next for RepeatMD when it comes to fusing, RepeatMD, AI, making it things easier for patients, for team members, for practices? What's next?
Yeah, great. Thank you for that question. At the end of the day, like I said, we try to really maniacally focus on creating a better experience, quality of life for our users, which is the practice owners. And the way we do that is by creating a better quality experience for their patients, right? So AI is on kind of everybody's mind right now. And if you're anybody who's anybody, you're thinking, how can I use AI? But it's not easy, right? You can't just call somebody up and say, hey, AFI my business, right? Maybe that's a great business model for me to do next, right? How to instantly AI out of the box. But with RepeatMD, we want to incorporate the best and latest technology to make a small business feel like a really big business, right? And that's kind of how we like started, like with the rewards piece. Think about this: like you're a small office with like maybe just like a couple of chairs, and you've got this Starbucks equivalent style rewards and membership and financing program that looks like you spent a couple $1 million on. That is a great way to make your brand look, levels above where you might actually be. So we're always thinking about how can we give small, mid-sized businesses $1 billion tools that they can put to work for their businesses, right? So one of them that we just launched is Adonis AI, and Adonis is what we consider the Phil created this. If you haven't seen Adonis, you need to look it up. It's this like AI generated like Superman that's the most beautiful man you've ever seen. And I can say that I'm a married man. I'm confident in my sexuality here, but the AI guy is truly gorgeous here. But by building Adonis into the RepeatMD platform, here's what happens. Now a patient can go in there and say, hey, I'm interested. I got, maybe I got a sunspot on my face, or I have a wedding coming up in 3 months. Like, what are the best treatments I should look at? And now Adonis, who's trained on your practice, all of your treatment services, offers, knows everything about every treatment that you offer, is going to be able to have a real conversation, smart conversation with the patient. Say, well, look, if you got a wedding coming up in 3 months, here's these, here's 4 or 5 things you can do. Here's kind of the downtime. Here's some of the costs. And then you can ask like, hey, well, what about this? What about that? And then you're going to sit there and have a conversation while the owner's asleep, on vacation, wherever. And Adonis is not only going to be able to guide you, answer your questions, like what's the maintenance look like? What's the downtime look like? What's the price look like? Hey, it's going to ask you like, hey, does this sound good? Are you want this? Are you ready to move forward? Patient's like, yeah, great. He's like, hey, are you interested in like paying this all at once, or would you want to use financing? Well, what does financing look like? Well, we have this, 6 months, you can pay over time, no interest, etc. And I put that in your cart and get you started. Like, sure. And Adonis in the app, it's going to create your package, load your cart, set you up, answer your questions, and help you get all the way through checkout. Because you called in with a question like, I got a wedding coming up. What do you recommend for me to do, like to get to where I want to be? And it's just like, it is literally your best salesperson that's working for you 24 hours a day. It knows like no salary, no overtime, no sick days, no days off, no bad information. It's not just making stuff up because it's only answering from like stuff that you approved to tell it, right? So like, the old employees like, oh, I promised him I could do over 1,000. Like, what are you doing? So it is like working for you and having that like in-depth level of conversation with every patient you have. So now imagine a world where you have 5, 7, 8,000 members, reward members, and all of them can have these really high level conversations and get down to the nitty gritty of everything they want to know about without you having to hire 2 or 3 or 4 more people to answer the calls, without you having to miss calls because you want to sleep or take a holiday. So it's literally adding like your best employee ever, like built into the system. And we couldn't be more excited because that means it's easier to grow, easier to expand, and you're never going to like lose another sale again because someone didn't pick up the phone, or because someone gave a bad answer, or because people weren't, because you were closed, right? So we're really excited about what that's going to bring to our clients, and we're in beta testing right now. So anybody who's interested in joining the beta program, let us know. So
that is so awesome. So just to clarify for myself, so basically this is going to be an interactive AI avatar that's trained on someone's products and services inside their practice, so that so it's a chat bot inside RepeatMD. Can they also embed this on their website?
So it's all through the app, right? As far as like being embedded in the website, I don't know the capabilities there. Like, so it's like current iteration, I open up the app for the practice. So a more med spa, I go into the app. Adonis will be there saying, hey, can I, help you on your journey? Any questions for me? And then I can have that conversation. The conversation will be specific to the more med spa in this case, to their treatment services, offerings, packages, and prices. But yeah, I can have that full conversation with this AI chatbot. And like, what makes an AI chatbot like good from garbage is the training, right? Yeah. Being trained specifically to your practice, not just giving me generic information from the world, right? I don't want the chatbot to say, what'd be great for you? What'd be great for you is the exoplasma laser. Well, I don't want to dunk on anybody's laser, but we don't have. Yeah, we don't have this laser. So great. Like here's a place down the street that you should go get it from. We don't want the chatbot to do that. So it's very important that it does it right, and it does. Like, so it is, and it makes it so powerful is because it's fully integrated into the reward system. It's not only going to answer my questions, it's also going to help guide me towards the checkout process and answer those questions as well. Which, look, I'll be honest, like it's hard to train a team member to do that. Like I hear people all the time pick up the phone and say, "Yeah, it's $5.99. Okay, anything else I can do for you?" Like no follow up. Like, "Hey, can we get you booked?" So Adonis will make sure and always ask to book.
That's so great. I really, really love that. And guys, yes, AI implementation, it can be hard or have you. That's going to, like you said, Chris, that is going to be a role in itself. How do you implement AI in your business? That's gonna, that's gonna be the next wave of things. But I
Yep.
really think this is great. So Adonis AI, guys, selling for you when you're sleeping. That's so great. I love.
And if somebody wants to talk to somebody, I mean, of course they can. They can let Adonis know, like let me, talk to a real person. But I'll tell you this: in 24 months, we'll be like, I don't think any of us will really know if we're talking to AI or a person. And we'll probably prefer to talk to people. Like when I call Comcast, I would much rather prefer to talk to AI than the people that answer the phone over there, just as a personal gripe for me. But that's personal.
I haven't had them for a while, but they're bad. But no, that
Yeah.
is so great. So, all right. So, Chris, thank you so much for this insightful conversation today. I feel like I could go even deeper on leadership and all sorts of things, but our time is coming to a close here.
Sure.
My God. But is there any last thoughts that you want to leave with our listeners? I would say give them a nugget on leadership, something that you've learned in your own experience as they're growing and transforming.
Yeah, I'll leave with something just super tactical that serves me really well in my business as I try to grow and expand, which is what I call stop, start, continue. So anytime we do anything, so like maybe once you buy a new device or you run a program or whether you do your memberships, stop, start, continue is just a way for you and your team to kind of look back maybe 30, 60 days or at a specific launch event and say, hey, what should we stop doing that we've been doing? Like, what's something we need to stop doing? Like, we need to stop not answering the phones, right? We need to make sure we're doing that, or that could be your start. What's something we need to start doing? We need to start making sure everybody we talk to that we mention our memberships to, based on our conversation. And what's something that we're doing good that we need to continue doing, right? Well, that's maybe offering everybody who walks in a glass of champagne. Maybe that's how we treat our guests like VIPs. So by incorporating the stop, start, continue framework is a good way to sit down with your team meetings, like maybe once a month in your monthly meeting and say like, hey, ideas for what we should stop doing that's not working, ideas for what we should start doing that we haven't been doing, ideas for what's working that we definitely need to write in stone and continue doing. I think that's just a really easy way to get some great feedback and to make iterative improvements in your process as a business without having to be too heavy-handed with your team, and it lets everybody get some buy-in. So stop, start, continue would be just one tactical thing I think any business owner would be well off to put in play in their business.
Oh my goodness. And with that, guys, it's a mic drop. Chris Chomenko, brand evangelist of RepeatMD. Thank you so much for being with me and our listeners today.
My pleasure.
Want more clarity like this? Join the Branded Practice newsletter community. I write about strategy, systems, and brand leadership straight to your inbox. Go to diamondhandsmedia.com to sign up. And if this episode hit, share it with someone still building without a brand. This is the Diamond Hands Podcast. Thanks for listening. Now go lead.